The APH-12 is a phaser from Asheville Music Tools, and it's an analog phaser that can sound like this. It can sound like a tremolo, a vocal envelope, a filter, and a lot more. It has a ton of options, including choosing how many stages the phaser has. I actually got the opportunity to try a prototype of this pedal at John Snyder's workshop. So before we dive any deeper, I want to share with you some really cool insight about the design process and show you what an early prototype of this pedal looked and sounded like.
This is like an older phaser design that Hawker worked on that was really hacked and circuit bent and lots of other stuff added onto it. It's a very sci-fi phaser, but you can get just such like cool, dramatic, swirly stuff out of it. And a lot of that comes from there being lots of stages. While we were developing this phaser, we made this board, which kind of has all the ingredients you need to make a phaser. We didn't know like what we wanted to do, what we wanted it to sound like what waveform sounded good. It lets you change the number of stages. So like, then there comes like the throbby thing. You can even go to 3. And now you get bubbles. So if you go all the way up to 12 stages, then you get the rich, more sci-fi phaser. One of my favorite things about the way this LFO is done is that the center position kind of changes the symmetry of it a little bit, and it feels like more of a ramp or less of a ramp while you're adjusting like the manual sweep control. And for some of the lower stage settings, you get this really organic kind of like vibey sort of thing.
Yeah, it feels more like a vibe.
Yeah.
Wow, what a good vibe.
The preamp in the original dev board is based more on like old school synthesizer designs, and so that was the part that we wanted to re-engineer from scratch, especially with like my experience developing this kind of stuff, and also just different tastes. Like this thing, when you push it, has more of like a fuzzy console sound, which I really like, but Hawker wanted to have something that was more warm and refined sounding. Is reinventing that while keeping all the cool phaser stuff that we like.
Analog phaser pedals usually offer 4, 6, 8, or 12 stages. For example, the Spaceman pedal is a 6-stage phaser. The APH-12 lets you choose from 1 to 12 stages using this knob over here. So I'm going to show you what all of these stages sound like. As you increase the amount of stages, the filter spectrum gets more complex. So I'm going to start off at 12 and work my way backwards to 1, so you can hear the difference between all the stages when all the other settings are the same. This pedal has no mix knob, but instead there's this toggle over here with 3 different settings to choose from. So you can choose from a 100% wet mix, a blend that's more even, or a mix that's more dry signal than wet. Honestly, there was no point where I ever missed having a mix knob, but for most things that I do with this pedal, I just prefer to keep the toggle in the center. This toggle over here controls the waveform, and when the toggle is up, the phaser is a slow sine wave. When it's in the middle, it's a faster sine wave, and when the toggle is at the bottom, it's dynamic. Like all other Asheville pedals, you use this little knob up here to choose what the expression controls. So as an example, I'm going to be using this expression roller to control the sweep of the phaser. Now I'm going to plug my expression ramper into the APH12, and it's going to be automatically moving the sweep. But it's going to be moving in a square wave, so it's basically just going to be jumping between two different sweep settings. You'll hear what I mean. APH12 has a drive on it, which doesn't get too intense, but sounds really nice. So I'm going to be turning the drive up and using the APH12 on my Harpist bass strings, which sounds like this. And then I'm going to use the ADG1 delay on the full range of my harp, and all of that together sounds like this. One of my favorite ways to use phaser is to put it on a beat. So I'm going to be using the APH12 on the poly end step and making a track with it. So I'm going to set this to 9 stages to make it feel like a swirly bandpass filter. And I'm going to be pushing the drive to give it a little oomph. And then on another layer, I'm going to play some synth. On another layer, I'm going to use the Asheville delay on the harp's bass strings. And for the full range of the harp, I'm using Dark Star. And all that together sounds like this. thank you so much to Asheville Music Tools for sending me the APH-12 and for sponsoring today's video. And thank you to John Snyder for inviting Russ and I to your workshop.